Okay, welcome back to the CNC with Dave show. Man, you guys don't cut me any slack. It's 9:01, and I saw in the chat they're saying Dave's late. So sorry about that. We trying to get some links sent out and stuff like that, and running about a minute late. So I apologize. I guess before we get going here, I may go ahead and do some announcements first because I know we're probably waiting on a couple more people to pop in here, and we'll do the panel introductions here in a minute. Since we just got Mark and Richard right now, but I want to make a couple of announcements. You know, anybody that watches the show pretty regular, you know that usually we have Melinda Davies on here. She's been pretty much a regular on the show since we started. She hadn't missed much, but she hadn't been here. This will be like the third one she's missed, and she's got a pretty good reason, and that's what I want to tell you. I wanted to congratulate Melinda and her daughter Michelle and her son-in-law Brandon Rogers because they've got a brand new baby boy and a grandson for Melinda. He was born on August 11th, 9 pounds, and his name is William Everett Rogers. So congratulations to Michelle and Brandon, and also to my good friend Melinda. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, congratulations, Melinda.
Yeah, that's cool. She sent me a picture, but I don't have it where I can post it on here. Let's see. Okay, we got Russ Meadows popping in here. How you doing, Russ? We're going to do the panel introductions here in a minute. I just wanted to make a couple of announcements. Another thing I want to do is I think I'm going to start probably trying to do this maybe at the beginning of every show is a shout out to a few folks. You know, I get tons of emails every day, and every once in a while I get one that you know really makes me feel good, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. A gentleman by the name of Murray Cohen purchased one of my kits. I don't know, earlier in the week or maybe it was last week. I don't remember. Wasn't that long ago. And anyway, when I shipped it the other day, I always send everybody an email and give them the tracking number and stuff like that. And he sent me this email back, and he says, excuse me, thanks for the quick service. I really appreciate the community you're creating around CNC. I'm addicted to your videos. So thanks very much for those kind words, Murray. That's the kind of thing that, you know, when I get an email like that, gets me motivated to keep doing some of the stuff that I'm doing here. So appreciate that. Also wanted to give a shout out to, let's see, I got them wrote down here somewhere. Where did I write them down? Well, shoot, I wrote them down somewhere. Oh, here they are, right in front of me. Richard Hester and Marlo Swazinski. I hope I didn't butcher your last name, Marlo. Big shout out to those guys. You know, as many of you may know if you follow me, I don't know, maybe you don't, but I'm one of the guys that does not have a Patreon page. You know, I just rely on the stuff I sell, the plans I sell, and you know, donation. There is a donation button on my website, and I just want to give a shout out to Richard Hester and Marlo for sending a donation. That's much appreciated, and thanks very much, guys. So, okay, I guess we'll move on to panel introductions, which shouldn't take too long, looks like. Mark, you want to start us off, buddy?
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Mark Lindsay, and you can find me here on Facebook under this name. I'm also most active on Facebook in too many groups to count. And no post to Instagram this week, but I'll work on that. And for the folks, to my subscribers who've been waiting on a video, I'm very sorry. The computer that I'm on right now went down late last week, and I just finally got it back up. Videos are in process. They'll be up soon. So thank you for having me, Gabe.
Okay, thanks for being on here, Mark. Next, we've got Richard.
Hi guys, Rich Muller here. Shade Tree CNC on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, thanks for being here tonight, Richard.
Thank you, Dave, for inviting me.
Looks like Russ has stepped out here, so we'll go ahead and talk about some other stuff here.
Did you like Peter's quick response to my email to him?
Yes, and you know what? I've got it wrote down somewhere. I meant to give him a shout out too. That was just exactly what I was looking for. You know, I watched his video. In fact, I had my laptop in there at my desktop. I was watching the video on my desktop and working my, you know, stopping it and doing what he said, and it worked right off the bat. And then I was able to come in and do it to the other laptop and stuff like that. So. Yeah, good, great video. Thanks very much, Peter. And let's give him a shout out. His YouTube channel is CNC Nuts. I think it's NUTZ, is it?
Yep.
I think.
Yes, it's Peter Pasquelo. He's down in. I'm going to get this wrong. I think he's in New Zealand. He might be in Australia. I apologize, Peter.
Yeah, I think in New Zealand too, but I could be wrong. But yeah, thanks very much, Peter. Appreciate the video, and that was the ticket. It worked.
Yeah. His email back to me basically said he was going to do a private email, and then after he got the reviewing it, he says it's good enough. I'm going to post it. So
yeah.
No, that's why the video starts off as kind of addressed to me, and then he goes into.
Yeah, and it seemed kind of funny too, because, you know, wherever he lives, New Zealand, Australia, wherever it is, it was freaking cold that day, because he was all bundled up and everything. And it was funny because here I am, you know, it's hot as heck here. So, but thanks very much, Peter, for putting that video out. And if you haven't seen it, guys, you know, those that we were talking about, you know, trying to program these things, you know, go check that video out, because he really makes it easy. And it's just, you know, the way he did it I would have never figured that out.
Well, I specifically asked for certain settings on what buttons, and so that's what he responded to.
Yeah, yeah. And when I set mine for this button here, the spindle off and on that I don't use. That's what I set mine for, to turn the reference all home button. So.
And I had never heard of that program he was using there, that Mach editor. I had never heard of that before. There's some neat things in that program. There's some very neat tools in that program.
Yeah, actually, after playing around with that, I'm thinking about maybe trying to design. You know how people design their own screen sets and stuff like that? I think I may dabble in that and see, because after seeing how that worked, it didn't seem like it was all that difficult. So I may try to.
I thought about. Sorry, go ahead, Russ.
I know I'm coming in just a little bit late, but only thing I didn't like about that is the fact, and I mentioned this to you, Dave, is it did change the layout when you change those settings on the initial screen. I mean, there's most of it's still there, but it kind of like disoriented it or whatever.
It did the same thing with me. It kind of got stuff a little bit out of alignment or something, and I think I'm going to try to make a copy of that screen set and try to do it again and see if maybe it was something I did wrong. I don't know, but you know, it seems like the same thing happened to you, so I don't know. But I'm going to make a copy and try, because what I did is I did just like he said in the videos. I made a copy of it and put it on my desktop so that if I screwed it up too bad, I could just put it back in and replace it. So
actually, that happened to me the first time I did it. I screwed it up and did something wrong, and it didn't work at all. And so that's all I did was I just created another folder in Mach 3 and called it Old Screens and just dumped them into there. And I just went right back up to that folder and copy and pasted it back into Mach 3 opened Mach 3 up, it was back the same old way, and then tried it again. So, and I was wondering if I didn't mess up something the second time to cause the screens to be a little bit jumbled. But when you said, like you said, if you had the problem that I had, then maybe it's just changing anything alters the main screen.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to make a copy of it and go back through, watch Peter's video again, and go back through it and take my time and see if there's something I can figure out why it's, what's making it change that alignment. I mean, the screen still worked. It just looked kind of goofy to me.
Yeah, and it worked. The buttons, once you programmed them for what he told you to do, I can get it to reference home. I can get it to do everything I wanted it to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, Russ, we haven't done the panel introductions. Well, we started, I guess. We got to Mark and Richard. Russ Meadows had stepped out. So since you're here, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, like there's somebody out there that might not know who you are.
I'm Russ Clarity with Simply Wooden Creations. You can find me Simply Wooden Creations on YouTube, Facebook, simplywoodencreations.com. on Twitter, Instagram, Google+, all the social media under Simply Wooden Creations. And look where I'm sitting tonight.
Yeah, that's an awesome background you got there. And I was going to say, too, for those of you who maybe haven't caught Russ's latest video, be sure and check it out because he's got a new CNC operator at his shop now.
And if this is fully enclosed underneath plexiglass, the only ventilation that it has underneath it is I have it down here underneath the front so it can pull from the front to the back, and that is a 12-inch tube back there for to be able to suck everything out of it. Now, this is after, just real quick, this is after about, probably about 8 or 10 projects. That's all the sawdust that's left in there. Yeah. After about 8 or 10 projects. It's not 100%, it's only like about 80% efficiency as far as getting all the sawdust out.
Yeah, I tell you, I've never seen one that's 100%. I don't think there is such a thing.
Yeah,
if you can just keep it all in one area, what it doesn't suck up, you're doing good.
I'll do about 8 or 10 projects and then go in there. I've got a small vacuum cleaner sitting right here, and I'll go in and suck up the dust around and clean up, and then do another 8 or 10 and then suck up what's left over. So.
Yeah, and what I was talking about when I said your new CNC operator, I was talking about your grandson Gage there. It looked like he really enjoyed playing with that thing.
He had a blast. He wanted to push all the buttons. To him, it was like a robot, and he wanted to make it move back and forth and left and right and up and down. So, and I don't have any limit switches on this thing, so I was kind of cautious about him moving it to a certain point. And that was before I actually learned how to do the step in the pennant to where I could move it slow. Then I wouldn't have been so apprehensive about him pushing the buttons.
Right. Yeah, well, he did a good job. He did a good job on it.
Thank you.
Got a question for you on your enclosure there, Russell. Eric E. wants to know, does that plexiglass enclosure knock the router noise down at all?
By probably 60-70%. Before it was really loud. Everybody's been around routers, so they know how loud they are. Now it's muffled to the point it's no louder than a vacuum cleaner. Actually, I think the shop vac is a little bit louder when I run it than the actual router inside the enclosure.
Oh, nice.
Eric, if you will go watch Russell's latest video, you'll see when his grandson Gage turns the router on and then they shut the door. You can tell the difference in the sound.
Yeah.
Even in that video. Okay, Russ Meadows, are you ready to tell everybody who you are and where they can find you?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm Russ Meadows, like he told you. He's a sneak peek to watch him, though. He talks to the women behind your back. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook under my name, or my Facebook and Instagram pages, Rusty Nails Wood Shop.
Okay, thank you, Russ. And I see, I'm looking at the chat over there. You want to send Brian Summers a link? Mark?
I will try. I'm
Or
not.
somebody?
I will try. I don't know if I
Looks
can, but I will give it a shot.
It looks like he'd like to join the show. We got plenty of room tonight. Like I said, we're missing a few folks. Russ. I don't know if you heard. You may not have been on here when I was first talking about it, but we were all congratulating Melinda and her daughter Michelle and her son-in-law Brandon. They had a new baby boy.
Oh wow, cool.
Last Thursday. So congrats to them again. Okay, let's see.
I just sent Brian to give me the link.
Okay. Well, we'll see if he pops in here in a minute. I've got the. We're going to talk about the UCCNC software, or I'm going to try to talk about it a little bit tonight. I've got it open here in the background, as well as Mach 3. So I'm hoping my computer don't get too bogged down having those open. I don't think they will, but okay. Brian Summers popped in here, or Brian Gidney, I should say. Brian Summers. I got Summers woodworking on the brain. Yeah. So go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, Brian.
You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, pretty much all the social links under Summers Woodworking. Or easiest to find everything in one place is summerswoodworking.co.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
Alrighty. Yeah. Well, we got plenty of room tonight. Like I said, we've got Melinda's not here. We're missing Juan, and I think some other people are busy out doing stuff. And I guess other people have a life, unlike myself. So anyway, we're glad y'all can be here. I don't know how many folks we got watching. Looks like we got about 47 or so watching, so appreciate y'all hanging in here watching. And I guess we'll start talking about this UCCNC software. I talked about it, a week or two ago. Michael Mertzke, who's been on the show several times, he had some issues with Mach 3. I don't really know, what his issue was. I'm not sure he even knows what it is at this point. But he switched to the UCCNC software, and as far as I know, he's not having any issues. And that's where I first heard about it. I mean, when I bought the UC100 controller, it's made by the same company, obviously. So I did see that software, but I really didn't think much about it until Michael Mertzke started talking about it. And then we've talked about it some on the show, and I thought, well, let me get it, kind of test drive it, kick the tires, and kind of do sort of an informal review about that software. And here I was just saying Juan's not going to be here, and then he pops in. What's up with that, Juan?
Hi guys, I got rained out.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you want to go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you?
Sure. My name is Juan Lopez. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and you can find me on YouTube under G-Code 1 Design, and also on Facebook and on Instagram.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for being with us, Juan. Sorry
Thanks
you got
for
right
having
now.
me.
You were going to go fishing, right?
I was gonna go fishing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry that you got rained out. Have to hang out with us,
Hey, that's good too.
There's worse places to be.
Right.
Okay. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't guess we've got any questions over there yet because we haven't really.
Dave, I got a question for you.
Okay.
That little controller that you had stuck up, what is that called?
This is let me try to turn it around this way. This is it's called a UC100 CNC motion controller.
Okay.
And I bought it off of Amazon. It was about $115, I think. And after digging around and purchasing the software, the UCCNC software that I'm going to talk about here in just a minute, I kind of learned a little bit about the company, it looks like the company that makes this stuff and the software isn't in the United States. They're, I forget where, but they're somewhere else. So I guess there are several distributors here in the U.S. that sell it.
I see one on Inventables. It's cheap. It's more expensive than the one you're saying, and that I guess that hooks up to a digital stepper driver.
Well, what this hooks up to, Brian, is, and you can see the LEDs are lit up on this because I've actually got this thing plugged into this laptop, and I'll explain why in a minute. Okay. But it's got this black cord you see is about a 5-foot USB cable that has a small connector on this end, and it plugs right into this little gadget here, which is the brains of the operation. And as soon as you plug it in and turn your computer on, the green LED, this side, will light up. And then once you start the software and it recognizes this motion controller, then the blue light will light up, and then you know it's working properly and you're communicating. And then the rest of it is, you can see this is just a parallel. So you would hook your parallel cable here and then connect it to your control box, or
Okay.
And that's how it works. It's basically just a go-between. Because a lot of the newer computers, particularly laptops, don't have this parallel port, but everybody's got a USB. So that's kind of why I bought this thing originally, is to use with my Mach 3. And I've said many times on the show, I think, that I love this thing. It's really easy to set up, and it works, So. But anyway, let me go ahead and screen share here, because like I said, I've got these. If I can get this to work here, I'm working without a mouse tonight because I got so much stuff plugged in there. I don't have enough USB ports, so. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, well, I hit the wrong one. We all recognize this one. That's Mach 3. But before we talk about that, this is the UCCNC software. And I guess everybody can see that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, remember, guys, I can't see you, so just say something instead of nodding your head or something. And you can see it's looks, it's not really that much different than Mach 3, I guess. I mean, it has kind of the same buttons and functions and stuff like that. It is kind of flipped backwards because you can see over on the right-hand side, and I'll move the mouse over here, you can see here's where all the big buttons are that you use the most. They're on the right side, whereas on Mach 3, and again, when I talk about this UCCNC and Mach 3, I'm just talking about their default screen sets. I'm not talking about any custom things, because with both of these pieces of software, you can customize it. So. But, if I click back over here on Mach 3, you can see here's the buttons over here on this side. You've got the little, I don't know what you call this, the little screen where you can see the parts over here on the right. So it's kind of, it's kind of the same thing, only it's flipped around. Of course, the reset button is over here. And to me, this has a lot different look. One thing I noticed right off the bat when I got this, and I think Juan mentioned this too, that I really like is the MDI is right here, right on the front page. Whereas with Mach 3, your MDI is over here on the second screen. So that's one thing that I really liked right off the bat when I started playing around with this.
Okay,
And it's
trying to sound like a dummy, but what does that mean, the MDI?
it stands for, if I remember right, it stands for manual data input. You can type, like right now, see the X and Y and everything's at 0. If I wanted to move something, let me just reset here and I'll show you. I can come right here and I can put, well, there we go. I can put Z0, X, 30, and it will move. You can see it over here on the, here I go again, pointing with my finger. You can see this move and see it went clear off the blank there.
Okay, cool.
So
that's what Juan used that on the. That's how Juan moved it on that demonstration you did to show the accuracy, right, Juan?
Right.
Yep. Cool. Now I understand.
yeah, and that's kind of handy. You know, it's not that big a deal to switch to the other screen on Mach 3, but like I said, it is kind of the. Oh, I sent it all the way across the thing, didn't I?
You need to type 0.
Yeah, I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. I was thinking 0, but I typed -30.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's the first mistake I made using that window.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's kind of neat having that right there. So that's one of the things I liked about this. As far as another thing I liked, if you go to the second page, which is toolpath, I really like this because it's nice and big. It's easy to see, and I just thought it was cool. It's you know, it's set up, and again, you know, I know you can change the screens to customize them however you want, but as far as the default screen, I really thought this was nice. Now, and it has these different. There's an ISO. I'm not really sure why you would use some of these, but you know, you got different views of the same thing.
Sometimes it's handy if you're doing multi-depth to see how deep you are.
There you go. Yeah, you probably, I don't know that you'd use the ISO much, but you might use that one. But
you might do a screen or sometimes you, like on Mach 3, you can do a cursor follow, and then you can zoom right in on the tip of the bit.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you can see at what layer you're at.
Yeah. But anyway, I really like this because it's big, and with me being, you know, kind of blind in one eye and can't see out of the other, this was nice. I like stuff nice and big and easy to read. It does have the, you know, the readouts down here. You've still got the, well, I keep popping this. In case you're wondering, that's how their little MPG thing flies out. It doesn't have a button like in Mach 3. And let me just, while we're talking about that, in Mach 3 you hit the tab key to get that to pop out, and hit the tab key again and it'll disappear. But in the UCCNC, it will just pop out when you bring the mouse over. Like
I wonder if that UCCNC is touchscreen compatible.
I would guess that it is one. I think probably these days probably all of them are.
That'd be kind of cool if it has that feature for it to come out that way instead of the tab.
Yeah.
Because all you'd have to do is just hit that arrow and you're.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys probably don't see because I got this Google Hangout screen sharing thing in the way here, but down here you can, you know, even from this page you can speed up and slow down on the fly, kind of like you do in Mach 3. And you know, you could basically pretty much run the stuff from this page. Let me just go through some of these pages here to show you. Here's the offsets. You can see I don't have anything set up here. Same thing with the tools. I don't have any anything put in here yet. The configuration, one thing that was kind of neat, and you'll notice it's already got my settings for my machine, 6,400 steps per unit. If you go to, let me see if I can remember, oh, I know where it was, Profiles, you can import your Mach 3 XML file. So what I did is I just clicked on that and went to my Mach 3 profile and imported it, and then hit apply and save settings, and that automatically set all this stuff up.
That is pretty cool.
So I did not have to come over here. So whatever settings I had in Mach 3 in that XML file, it brought the same settings and put them in here.
Dave?
Yes.
I have a question from chat that kind of dovetails into that. Fred Grover wants to know, if someone changes over from Mach 3 to UCCNC software, will they have to set up the machine coordinates and everything else all over again? So,
well, if the way I understand it, like I said, if you've got a profile for that machine set up in Mach 3, you should be able to import it, and it looks like it's going to get most, if not all, of the settings for you.
okay, so you don't have to basically reset everything. You just import that XML and then check it out.
That's my understanding. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Let's just kind of move through here. As you can see, when you go into configuration, everything under here is all these others. And again, I don't really have anything set up, but I'll just kind of go through and show you the different settings. There's the hotkeys right over here, which would be like the hotkeys in there. General settings. I think the only thing I changed, I don't know why, they had this as a default right here, the Save Z at 25. So I changed it to a 1/2 inch, which just means that anytime I go to go back to 0 or something like that, it always raises that Z up to 1/2 inch above the material before it takes off and goes. This is pretty much this is pretty much the same kind of general settings that's in Mach 3. Appearance, and I want to talk about this a little bit because I actually, and I'm trying to tell everything that I like about the software first, and then I'll go back to the stuff I don't like. But I did play around with this appearance just to see what it changed. But it seems like all of this stuff here really has to do with this and this. That's the colors. It's when you change something, like when it says black background, this is what it's talking about. It's not talking about the background here. It's talking about it here. So these all of these just kind of have to do with that little screen there. Let's see what else we got. Diagnostics. Now down here, this is I really wonder why they put this in this kind of category under diagnostics, because this right here is something that I use in Mach 3 quite often. And if I can open up Mach 3 real quick, when you go to Mach 3, and I've loaded that, and by the way, I've got the same program loaded in both of these. But if you go to the tool path, over here where it says program limits, you notice those numbers match the same as these down here. I don't really know why it's under diagnostics. I wouldn't really consider that a diagnostic, but that's where they put it. And also, I haven't played around with this. If somebody wants to try to use this and wants to try to learn something about this, I may fool around with it a little bit to see. I did try it one time, and it looks to me like, and again, I haven't really dug into this, so don't quote me on this stuff, but it looks to me like in order to use the cam for this, you have to have a DXF file that's drawn in layers. And the one that I imported and tried, it wasn't drawn in layers. It was everything, all the entities were all on one layer, so it didn't quite work out when I tried to do it. But you can, I don't know if, yeah, when I click on that, see, it'll say, is it an interior contour, external, online cutout, pocket, drill, spiral. It's kind of like, you know, it's how you set your tool path, but you know, then you have to tell it what DXF layer. So I'm assuming if you had the profile of the part on one layer, the holes inside the part on another layer, and so on and so forth, you just select what layer and then tell it what type of, you know, what type of operation or what type of tool path that's going to be, and then I think that's how it works.
That could be useful.
Well, yeah, it could, but you know, typically that's not how I draw. Drawing in SolidWorks, when I save a DXF file,
Right.
everything's all on the same layer. And of course, VCarve Pro doesn't care whether it's like that or
Right.
not, you know, because you're selecting entities and things like that for your tool paths just by what you click on. So I don't know, and I could be wrong about that. Like I said, don't quote me on that because I haven't really played around with it, but it does have you know, some kind of a cam feature here.
It's basically conversational, which is pretty cool.
Over
Could
yeah,
be could be useful if you're doing like a single layer Inkscape export.
okay.
You know, you take
Kinda
like
looks
an ink.
to-
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry. It kind of looks like CAM software where you can just do your own design in that program.
Well, I don't think that. I mean,
There's
you
no
have
drawing features.
Yeah, there's no
Right.
drawing features. It's on. You have to import a DXF, and like I said, I tried doing just a simple part pull. I forget what it was. I just pulled something off of here. I forget. Which
Well, it
one
looks
was.
kind of like some kind of editor because it's asking you to create a G code at the bottom.
Yeah, but like I
It's-
said, you have to select what DXF layer you're using and tell it what type. You know, you have to fill all this information out,
Right.
and then tell it to generate the tool path, and then it will create the. Then you can create the G code. But like I said, most of the DXF files that I deal with are, you know, I'm drawing it in 3D stuff and not, you know, not
Correct.
2D software. So I'm not worried about layers.
Right.
And so that, like I said, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of neat that it's got something.
See, I use Mastercam a lot, and I have the 2D only profile type of software for that. And like, let's say you're doing pockets within a pocket that are deeper depths. In my case at work, I do the same thing. I would bake the bigger pocket into a one layer, and then the two separate pockets either in the same layer if they're the same depth, or separate layers if they're different depths. And that's where that would come in handy, where I just highlight whatever layer or put whatever layer is one, go to a certain depth. I see that it says start depth on there, and that comes in handy too, so it doesn't do the whole top one first and then go further down to the bottom, but start at the one at the bottom as long as you know what the depth is.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a whole separate, like you said, it's not 3D or anything like that.
Yeah. Like I said, I guess if somebody was, I don't want to say old school, because there's probably still a lot of people that draw like that. But you know, if there's people that using a CAD software and that's what they're used to doing is drawing different things and putting them on different layers where they can turn stuff on and off, that would probably work pretty good. You know, maybe I'll try to do it again. Like I said, I ran out of time this week fooling around with the other stuff, and I thought, well, I'll kind of save the cam for another show or something, but I just want to kind of show it briefly here.
What's under that pull down that says use DXF layer? That first pull down at the top of the column.
Well, it's not going to let me.
Is there options there? Or?
Well, there is once I import a DXF.
Oh, okay.
And see, like I said, when I import something, there when I open this up, it'll only say like layer 0 or whatever, because I only have one layer.
Right.
But I'm thinking that's the way it would work. If you imported a DXF file and it had, like, say, 6 layers, you could go up here and say, okay, layer 1 is going to be 1/4 inch round holes, and you want to do a drill or, you know, whatever, and then you set all this other information here, and then it would, you know, you generate the toolpath for that, create the G code, and then I guess you would just go down through the list, change it.
Old school AutoCAD used to put the component 2D on one layer, the text on a different layer,
Correct.
the dimensions on another layer, and so I guess it allows you to filter what layer you want to work with.
Yeah, and that's what I say. I don't want to, you know, say that's old school, but to me it is kind of old school. I used to draw that way, but I haven't drawn that way in years.
There are still some schools teaching CAD that way.
For running lasers, that's kind of necessary, and that's industrial lasers. But that's doing different layers, because sometimes you don't want to run, like you could run an array, you could run an array or as far as a nest or a single part, and you have to put different layers, whether you want to run the array, the nest, or the single part. So when running lasers, that's kind of necessary sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to get stuck on the CAM side of this stuff here, but I did want to show that. And like I said, if anybody wants me to dig into that a little further, I will this next week. And the help menu here, and again, you just got supported G codes. And one thing I noticed right off the bat, because it was one of the first things I looked for, and I don't know if it would work or not. I don't know if this means, that only these things that are in this list are supported by this software or not, but I noticed that G50 and G51 are not in here for the scaling. And I know you can use that with Mach 3. So I don't know. I have not tried it, but it's not listed as one of the supported G codes. It's got a list of the M codes here. Other codes, just talking about your F and S tool and all that kind of stuff. And this is just the Switzerland. That's where this place. Oh, wait a minute. Switzerland and Hungary, maybe. I don't know. It's one of these places. But
how long did it take you to get your license key?
Well, let's talk about that for a second. I got the I went online and found actually I think I downloaded the software, because you can download the software as a demo version, just like Mach 3, and I think I actually downloaded it from the main company, whatever it is, CNC Drive Motion Controls. That's the website that I was on when I downloaded this. Then I, installed it and played around. Of course, I'm just in the demo version. And then I sent a message to Michael Mertzke and I said, hey, where did you get your license key? And he told me the name of the company, and they're in Florida. And if I can remember what it is, I'll say it. I don't want to try to say it and get it wrong. But anyway, so I contacted them and I said, yeah, I want to, I need to buy how do you get the license key? And anyway, so I went to their website, and this is a distributor, and went ahead and bought the software. Clicked on the link, paid for the software, and it was $60. So now I've got, I was thinking that it was just going to take me to a link to get, a license key, kind of like Vectric and Mach 3 and all that. Usually they're pretty quick about sending you the license file. So anyway, it took me a couple of hours or maybe longer before I got the license key. But in the meantime, I'm going to open up this other laptop here if I can. I was emailing with the people at that company, and I'll be able to tell you what that company is now. Oh, it's called CNC 4PC. CNC, the number 4, and then PC. That was the name of the company that I bought this from. Okay, and what was a little bit weird to me, and maybe I'm just being picky here or something, I don't know. You guys can tell me. But I thought it was a little strange because I was asking if I'm trying to get the email up. Just bear with me a second, folks, here. Trying to find the one where I was. Okay. They sent me an email and they said, "Dear customer, we received your order. Please send us the serial number for the UC100, UC300, or UC400 ETH that I have in order to generate the license file." And I'm thinking, well, I don't know, that seems kind of funny, So, of course, I got one, so I got the UC100, so I emailed them the serial number of the UC100 that I have. And then in the meantime, while I'm waiting for them to send me the license file, I sent an email to this gal that works there, and I'll just read you the email. What I said. I said, "Hey, I have a UC100 with a serial number of blah blah blah. Just so I understand how this software works. Does it only work in conjunction with the UC100, UC300, or UC400 ETH, or will it work when using an older computer with a parallel port, or a USB smooth stepper?" I said, "I guess I don't understand why you need a serial number for the UC100 to create a license file." And let's see. Anyway, I kind of went on. I said, I'm going to be talking about it on the show, and I want to make sure I understand how it works and what all you have to buy to make this thing work, so that I don't mislead anybody. And then I explained to him that I had already purchased the UC100 to run with my laptop running Mach 3. And I'll if I can find the response here that I got. Okay, I guess this guy's the distributor of that company, he says, "The UCCNC works only with the CNC drive products, the UC100, UC300, UC400 ETH, and soon the UC300 ETH. It also supports some popular hardware like Chinese wireless pendants. The software is also very open and customizable, so users can add more hardware, but not, I repeat, but not motion controllers." So basically, and again, maybe I'm being picky and you guys can tell me, basically what I was thinking, and when I looked on their website, I see where when you look at the UCCNC software, it will, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here for a second.
You're
Got
good.
you back.
Am I good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I had gone to the website, and every place I looked, I even went to 2 or 3 other websites for different distributors that sell these products. And I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid or something, but I always saw where when you look at the description of the software, it said it works with, and then it would list the UC100, UC300, UC400, ETH, blah, blah, blah. But what they don't really say is that it only works with those.
Well,
And,
if
like
I might
said,
interject,
what's that?
I was reading their literature too, on their website, and the way I interpret it is that the software, when you download it, only works in demo mode. And so now you go off and you buy a UC100, and now you want to upgrade your software with a license file. It's using that specific UC100 as a dongle to turn on the outputs of the software. So if you go and move that software to another laptop and try and use a different UC100, it won't work. You got to buy another license for another download of the software.
And I think you're absolutely correct, Richard. And I sent this guy another, like I said, it took him a while to send me the license file, so in the meantime I was trying to get some questions answered because I wanted to, completely understand how this deal worked. And, he says, well, let me see if I can find the right email here.
So in other words, it's PC specific, huh?
It's UC100 specific.
More like hardware specific.
Oh,
yeah, I'm having trouble finding it.
It doesn't matter if the UC100 is a USB to parallel port adapter. So like if you had an older machine, let's say with an XP, and it had a parallel port, and you built your whole system using a breakout board, which basically is a parallel port input, and now you go out and you buy a laptop, and now it doesn't have a parallel port, so you can't connect the two. So the UC100 bridges that connection. It goes from USB to an older breakout board that has a parallel port. Now I'm only explaining that to you because you're using an X card which has neither.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I understand that, but I didn't know that the dongle thing itself had like a chip or anything in it.
Explain what a dongle is, Richard.
A dongle is a software key.
It's a lot of the old time, they don't use them that much anymore, but a lot of the old time software, I used to use, a company I worked for used TechSoft for years. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of TechSoft, but they had a little thing that looked kind of like this, and you had to have it plugged into the back of your parallel port, because every time you open that software, it would go and look for this, and if it found it, it says, oh, okay, you're a legit version, and it would work. But if you didn't have this, it would just shut it down.
It looks just like a regular USB stick.
Right.
Yeah. Nowadays they're not the parallel kind; they're the USB kind.
Well, back in the day, computers used to have these little serial ports. I'm not talking parallel, but serial ports where it connected into your Ethernet port. I didn't know that had a separate kind of like chip or brain to it, that it is specific. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is their software protection to keep people from pirating their software.
Piracy.
Yeah. And once I got the software and started digging around a little bit, I've got the manual opened up here on this other laptop, and on the page 9, it's talking about the licensing, and it says the software requires a license key to fully function. The license key is an encrypted file released by the author and owner of the software, CNC drive. One license key is valid and can run, is valid and can be used with one UC100 device only.
Man.
So, like I said, I was a little bit surprised because of, I just thought, because I've heard people talk about that software and they go, well, yeah, it's a lot better than Mach 3. It's only $60. Well, now, knowing what I know, it's not really just $60. It's $60 plus either 115 for one of these, and I don't know what the other ones cost. They may be more. So it's really kind of sort of the same thing. Now, where it would be cheaper or inexpensive, I guess I should say, is, you know, nowadays if you're trying to use a laptop or something without a parallel port, because I mean, let's face it, parallel ports are pretty much extinct these days. So, you know, you could get the software for $60, one of these for 115, so that's what, 175. You know, Mach 3 costs 175 by itself, and plus, you know, they're starting to phase that out, I think. So, if you run Mach 3 like I do, you know, of course, I've had mine for years, but if I was starting just now and wanted to buy Mach 3, that's 175 bucks. Then I still got to buy some kind of a device like this or from some other company that's similar to be able to use it with a USB port. But, you know, like I said, it kind of surprised me because I kept hearing people talk about, yeah, that UCCNC is only 60 bucks. And I'm thinking, well, you know, I was lucky because I just happened to have one of these already. But if I hadn't, you know, you spend 60 bucks and then you're like, I just spent 60 bucks for a demo, because if you don't have one of these, you're not going to get a license key. So just wanted to make sure everybody understands about that.
And that brings up another subject, Dave, because basically that's $175 per computer. And on a situation like you have 3 different CNCs. You're not going to be able to run 3 machines on that UCCNC unless you buy 3 separate license keys.
That's correct.
Whereas you can put Mach 3 legally by the terms of the license agreement on 3 machines.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think Mach 3 or the ArtSoft people, I think they really only care about how many you're running at one time. I don't think they really care how many. I mean, you probably can have it on 3 machines, but they only want, you know, computers, I should say. But, you know, they only want you running a machine at a time. So, but you could have it on 2 or 3 machines, I think. Right. So, and so yeah, it's you know, so I don't know. I'm not going to knock it. I have used it, and I know, gosh, we're running out of time already here. Let me go back to the screen share real quick, and then I'll point out some. I guess we're kind of already on the subject of what I don't like, which was.
So Dave, call me slow, but as long as you're just operating one CNC machine, you'll be able to use that dongle on it, even if you swapped out computers.
Yeah. Well, see what I couldn't find the email where I was asking that guy, but I kind of gave a scenario. I says, look, I said, can y'all see that screen back?
Yes. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I said, you know, I bought this first UC100 to run with Mach 3, and I told the guy, I said, I have 2 CNCs in my shop. Or actually, I got more than that, but, you know, I'm going to have, when I get this other build finished, I'm going to have 2 of them out there that I'll probably be running at the same time. I said, so let's just do a scenario here. If I'm running the UC100 that's got the serial number for the license key, and I'm using that with UCCNC software running router B. But on router A, I'm running another UC100 with a different serial number, obviously, and I'm running Mach 3. Well, what if I accidentally step on the thing and break it, or somehow it stops working? You know, can I use that other one? And the guy kind of, in the email, and I can't find it over there, so I don't know what I did with it, but he kind of made it sound like, yeah, you can, but I think what he meant was, yeah, you can if you buy another one. Because according to the manual, that's what it looks like, that once they set that software key up, it runs with that and only that. So, I don't know.
So it's non-transferable. You can't transfer it to the other one?
No, I don't. Wow. I don't think so. Well, I mean, maybe you can. I mean, I suppose you could pay to get the license, and they would just give you a license for the with the other serial number, and you could have both of those license files. I don't know if that would work or not, but yeah, and I'm not really knocking that because I know there's a lot of shady stuff going on, and from what I can understand, the ArtSoft people, that's kind of what they're doing with Mach 4. They're making it where it's kind of registered to a certain computer, if I understand it right. So, but anyway, I don't want to harp on that too long. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about some other things here. Now you notice, guys, I've got this this same program loaded in here. This is the Nest I run out there in the garage all the time. And you notice I haven't zeroed anything out here. It's all, I just loaded it in. I did hit the reset a while ago. But now I'm going to talk about some of the things I don't like. And y'all can either agree or disagree with me. One thing I don't like is the pastel colors. I think the Mach 3 screen, and now I can't get that thing to, here we go. To me, the Mach 3 screen, and let me get back over here on the main screen, is just easier on the eyes.
Easily.
As far as I'm concerned. It's the different color contrast. For example, I'm going to give you an example here. Let me reset this. When I hit reference all home, all of you that have used Mach 3, you see how those all hit green? And to me, it's easy to see at a glance that all those are green, that it's referenced. Now coming back to the UCCNC, here is the Home All button, and if you'll watch right in here, watch for this green to show up. Can you see it?
Barely.
It's just got one little line of green.
Right.
It doesn't go, to me, it doesn't go well with that red. The red, all of this. I think probably the only way I could ever use this stuff would be to set myself up a custom screen set, because I don't like the colors at all. The layout I could probably live with as far as where stuff is, but I don't know. I don't know who picked their colors for a default screen.
I agree with you.
But this is nice because this has got the nice black background. That's easy to see. It's that's what I'm looking for, is stuff that's easy for me to see.
Right.
All the little pastel colors and all that, I'm sorry, they just don't get it for me.
Yeah, it looks too washed out.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like it as well as some of the other things. One thing I will say too, this button here, and I haven't even looked in the manual to see what this is, but I'm assuming this is to automatically zero the Z, and they have it right next to here, which is a button I use all the time. Well, when I was out there kicking the tires with this thing, apparently when I thought I was here, and I was here, and you click that, and it tries to drive that thing through the bottom of the table. So I didn't. So right away I thought, well, I don't know what. I mean, I think I know what that button does, but I don't like that it's right next.
It's a
touch-off plate, ain't it?
It's a touch-off plate to zero your Z.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just little things like that I'm not too crazy about. Like I said, as far as running the software, I ran this software on that other laptop that I purchased all day, pretty much. I don't know. I was probably out there 8 or 10 hours one day running these blanks for the kits that I sell, and as far as it running, it ran fine. I didn't have any problems at all, and it didn't really take me any time at all to get things configured because of wherever it was, the profile thing that I mentioned earlier, being able to import that And again, you know me, I'm here fooling around with stuff. I don't even read the directions. I just start playing. But as soon as I saw that button right there, I thought, okay, now that may be what I want. And I hit that, and then it automatically set up all the right numbers in here based on what I had in the Mach 3. So that was kind of nice. Anything else? I know I've been kind of blabbing here. Anything else anybody wants to see or wants me to show?
Well, I've got 3 questions over here.
Okay, I'll try and answer them.
Alrighty. Paul Lawrence wants to know, can you have more than one profile in UCCNC?
Yeah, you can. And wait a minute, where'd it go? Oh, see, I'm still learning where stuff is. Actually, I watched a YouTube video, of all things, and I think it was one that this company puts out, the whatever the main company is. And I tried to follow it along and do it exactly, because like I said, I imported that, but I wanted to call it something different. And in fact, I'll do it right now, because y'all can see this, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
It said to, you know, I put that in there, and this, I'm following just like the YouTube video. I put this in here, and then I put create new profile, but I kept getting this, and it says the profile name text field is empty. Well, it wasn't. I just had it in there. So I don't know. But it does have a thing to list profiles, so I'm assuming it's probably just something I'm doing wrong, and you should be able to create multiple.
What happens if you push the list profiles? The button,
Yeah, well, it doesn't do anything because right now there's only that one. And notice also, like I said, I imported the Mach 3 XML file, and I wanted to call it something else. Well, it set all the settings, but I guess it's still the default file.
Now go down and type. Now that you've selected it up above, type your name and hit the create new profile.
Yeah.
Same thing, huh?
Yeah. See, and like I said, I watched the YouTube video, and when they did it, they typed a name in here, hit create new profile, and it worked. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but anyway.
With that highlighted, what about load profile? What does that do?
I wonder if that shortcut thing needs to be checked off so it could actually create an actual profile to click onto.
Well, let's try that. Okay, we've still got default highlighted. Same thing.
No.
Yeah,
Wow.
like I said, I got a little frustrated trying to do some of this stuff, and I thought, well, let me go watch videos and look at the manual. And in some cases like this, I still couldn't get it to work like the way the video did. So, but all in all, I guess. Well, let's see. Did you have some more questions, Mark?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
In fact, to follow up on what you're asking right there, where'd it go? Okay, no, never mind. That did answer the question. I'm sorry. But William Maggart wants to know, when you create tool paths in VCarve Pro, what post processor do you use? Is there one especially for UCCNC, or are you still using the Mach 3 4 or Mach 2 3 post processor?
I tell you, one of you guys that has the newest VCarve Pro, the 8.5, would have to look. I'm still using 7.5, and there is no, when you scroll down through the post processors on VCarve Pro 7.5, there is not one for a UCCNC. But I am, the program that I'm running with this software are the same ones that I used to program for Mach 3, which is Mach 3 arcs, inches, text, or whatever it's called.
So it is. So it's basically running off of that same post processor that you used for Mach 3.
Yes.
Okay.
I ran, like I said, I ran a couple of different programs, but mostly I ran this this big nest here, and it ran fine without any, any issues at all as far as the code.
Okay. Okay. And William Maggard just came in and said, yes, UCCNC is not listed in VCarve Pro 8.0.
Yeah, and I didn't really expect it to be, because really, a post-processor is basically trying to figure out what kind of machine you got and what kind of code you have to have. And,
Right.
well, I don't know. I guess it does have Mach 3 in there, and that's a software, not a machine. But yeah, I didn't see it unless it's in 8.5 or something. But
Unless it's on their website.
Okay.
The UCCNC website, do they have a post processor that you can download and import it into your VCarve Pro?
I don't know. I did not see one. All I saw was the software and the different little hardware things like the UC100.
Okay.
So.
Okay, final question, and this has basically been answered, but I think it's worth repeating. Gary Parker wants to know, will the UCCNC software work over a parallel cable as well, or only with the UC100 controller? I'm thinking that the answer we got earlier was it is locked to a controller, and that's all it works with. It has to be used with the UC100 controller, correct?
Yeah, if I'm understanding his question, yeah, I think that's the case. Because like I said, I was kind of thinking that, being an old Mach 3 person, having used it for years, I just kind of expected everything to work the same way Mach 3 did, that if you wanted to use this software on a computer that had a parallel port, you could hook a parallel port to it and it would work. But no, that's not the case. It has to have one of their CNC drive motion controllers connected. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing here. I want to keep it on the screen in case somebody needed to see something, but let me get this off of here. So
it's like a package deal. You buy the software, you buy the controller, and they work together.
yeah,
It's a bit misleading.
and like
They
I
don't tell you.
said, it's not a bad deal. The software is $60. This thing here I paid $115. So you're looking at 100. If my math is right, it's $175, right? Which is the same thing as what Mach 3 is. But it just kind of, like I said, maybe I'm just being a butthole or something. I don't know. But when I look at their website, if it only works with one of these, say it only works with one of these. They just say it works with this and this and this, but they don't really come out and say, you got to buy this as well as the software. And then they sell the software separately, which, I mean, I understand why they sell these separately, because people can buy these and use them with Mach 3 and what have you. But I don't know. I just think they, and I mentioned that to the guy in the email. I said, to me, I don't think it's very clear. I says, it doesn't matter to me. It's because I already had one and all that, so I'm good. But for people that, to me, when you go look on that website, it looks like you're buying software for $60, and that's all that you might need. And then they're going to be disappointed, when they find out they got to spend another $115 and I'm assuming this is the UC100. I'm assuming those other ones probably are more than what this one is, because I think this is the bottom of the line CNC motion controller. I'm not sure, but
so there is one final question here from Thomas Grimm. He says, so is it time to get someone from UCCNC to be on this show?
I don't know if they'd want to be on. Like I said, the stuff works. It's not bad. I can tell you right now, I'm probably going to continue to be a Mach 3 user.
Yeah, so it's not the cure-all, the half-price cure-all that everybody thought it was going to be then.
Yeah. And see, my first clue that something didn't smell right was when I emailed or I guess it was a Facebook message or something, I sent to Michael Mertzke, and I said, hey, where did you get your license code? And he says, well, and he gave me the gal's name or email address and everything. He says they emailed me and asked for my serial number, and then they emailed me the license code, and I'm like, wait a minute, serial number? What's that about? And that's when I knew that, wait a minute, what serial number are they talking about? What if I didn't already have one of these? I just paid $60 for software. And like I said, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm griping about the price or anything, because I'm not. It's just, I think they should be more clear in letting people know that if you buy that software for $60,
It's misleading.
it's a demo
Truth- it needs
software.
truth in
That's all you got
advertising.
until you get one of these.
Truth in advertising.
And I have looked at one. I don't know if you were looking on the website, but if you look at the CNC Drive, which is the main company, they say on their website that when you go to look at the software, it says works with this, this, and this. You go to the CNC4 PC, which is that distributor in Florida, and it says works with blah blah blah. You go to there was another one, I can't remember the name of it, Quick Drive or something like that, and it's all the websites say the same thing, but all they have to do is put the word only either in front of it or at the end of it, and it will clear it right up. But like I said, maybe I'm just being picky, but I just know when I buy something, I like to know what all I have to make it work. If I'm gonna pay $60 for something, but it's just going to look pretty on my laptop and not work until I spend more money.
The truth is that there's one controller that we haven't talked about, and that comes from Planet CNC. You can find Chinese-built USB to breakout boards, but none of them work unless you go to Planet CNC and buy a license. Now, whether or not their license is tied to a specific board or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing. You can't make those boards that you can get real cheap to work without buying the software.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but I don't understand why they just don't come right out and tell you, because at $115 here and $60 for the software, you're still just at $175, which is what Mach 3 is going to cost you anyway. So I don't understand it,
But to be clear and to make sure that I'm straight on this, Dave, the UC100 is a good adapter to go from a laptop that doesn't have a parallel port into the controller box on the Xylotex kit, correct?
While still using Mach 3.
While still using Mach 3.
Absolutely. And like I said, I continue to use this. I was out there running a machine today, and I took the other I was out there yesterday, I guess it was, running some kits, and I took the other laptop and ran Mach 3 and hooked this up, and it works fine.
That's what I'm using, and it works great too.
So, although I have noticed that when I switch back and forth, it doesn't fire up right away. It notices whatever they're calling it, the firmware. So if I was last using this with the UCCNC software, say yesterday, and then today I go out there and I hook it up to Mach 3, when I go to open Mach 3, it has to do a firmware update, switch stuff back around. And I mean, it works. I haven't had, because I would have really been pissed if it didn't work after that. But yeah, it worked okay, but it does kind of screw stuff up having to go back and forth. So I don't know. It's $60, that I spent to be able to kind of do this informal review or whatever. And it's, Mike Mertzke loves it. For some reason, he was having some kind of issues with Mach 3, and he bought that for $60 because he already had one of these. And you know, he's happy because it's running his GarageWorks CNC just fine. So, you know, it's not bad stuff. It's just that I don't know. You know, anybody that knows me, and most of you guys here on the panel probably know me pretty well. I'm the type of guy, man, if something ain't broke, I don't fix it. You know, I like to, I'm loyal when it comes to products. As long as they work or they don't give me a reason to change, I probably won't. And Mach 3, I have been using that stuff for, I don't know, 10 years, 10 years. About 10 years, I guess.
Yeah, I'd rather pay more money for something that works every time than pay less money for something that works on occasion.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to, you know, if there's somebody out there in the audience that's you know, thinking about buying UCCNC, if you don't already have Mach 3, and you know whether or not you may have, you know, maybe you haven't bought one of these, maybe you have, you know, that's not a bad deal. You know, the software worked. I can't complain about the software as far as running the programs. I just didn't like the look and feel of it. I didn't like the screen colors, and of course all that can be changed. But I just thought, you know, as a default screen, that's kind of weird colors for a default screen, I thought.
Yeah. There was a question in the chat room asking, what is a breakout board? And for a guy like me, I built my own controller. So it is a board that takes your parallel port and protects it because it's only 5 volt, so that you can have isolated outputs to your motor drivers. That's all it is an isolation board. Now, inside the Xylotex box, I'm sure that there's probably a breakout board that the parallel cable plugs into. So any device that has a parallel port input, be it a Xylotex box or some of these places like eBay, you see these CNC kits for they give you 3 motors, a power supply, and a breakout board. This UC100 will work with that as well.
Yeah, you know, I didn't think we talked about it on the big marathon show we did last week. If I'd have thought of it, I would have had my Xylotex box sitting right here, and I would open that thing up. Maybe I'll do that for next week's show. I'll open that thing up, and we can show people and talk about the different components that are in there. And because it's, you know, for people that buy the Xylotex kits like I do, you know, if they don't ever open it up, they don't have a clue what's in there. But there's really not a whole lot of stuff in there.
It's full of magic.
Yeah,
it's full
power
of
supply, 3 motor drivers,
unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah, wizards. Don't forget the wizards.
As long as
full
it
of
works,
smoke.
I said as long as it works, I could care less what's in there.
Yeah, so long as it's not full of smoke, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah,
The
you don't want to let the smoke out of the thing.
package, the nicest part about that package is it's completely assembled and has been tested. You can go out on eBay and buy all the components. You're going to end up spending the same exact amount of money buying it cheap on eBay, but now you are tasked with wiring it yourself and not blowing something up.
That's right.
Yeah. And you know, some guys like that stuff, and if they do, that's great. You know.
I did mine. It was no big deal.
Yeah, and I used to do them years ago too, and then I thought, what, you know, this is silly. I just buy them ready to go, plug and play, color coded, can't beat it. So, okay, I guess you know, here again we're running over a good bit here. Do we got any more questions, or we wrap that up?
We basically wrapped that up. You know, the only thing else that I would add is on the breakout board is it's also an accessory you can put in line in your parallel so that you can add more inputs. You know, whether that be switches or touch plates or digital probes or anything like that.
Yeah.
Mine has a relay on it, so I can turn my router and vacuum on and off.
Okay. Yeah. Add more inputs.
Also, there was one question, I think it was Philip Barnes, that asked just to reassure that the actual software, as far as the UCNC, is tied to the UC100 and not to the actual computer.
That's true. You can move computers, you just have to move the UC100 with it.
Okay.
Right.
He just wanted to reassure himself for that.
Yeah, and earlier in the show, you know, when I was holding this up and I said, well, you can see it's all lit up because I've got it plugged in. That's why I've got it plugged in, is because if I turn this laptop, well, or if I turn the UCCNC software, open it up, and I don't have this plugged up, it just opens up the demo version. And I wanted to be able to show you the way it did the settings and stuff like that. So that's why I've got this thing sitting here plugged into a USB port. Now I can't use my mouse because I'm out of USB ports. So. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Need to get one of these, Dave. The
USB hub thing.
USB hub, yeah.
Yeah, I've got one of them in there on my desktop or somewhere on my desk. But yeah, these I got two laptops. I mentioned the other day I bought this other one at a pawn shop, and it's almost exactly like the one I got. So they're both the same, and they've got 3 USB ports. But I use one for the mic, one for the what's the other things? Oh, one for my webcam. You know, these laptops have a webcam built in, but they're not as good, so I've got a separate webcam. That's a USB, and of course now the third one is with this, which normally I have my little mini mouse plugged into there. So
you can buy little mini hubs too. I got one that you plug in, and it's got little 6. It plugs in and gives you 6 USB ports.
This one gives me 7.
Yeah.
5 on the front, 2 on the back.
How much you pay for that?
I think I paid like $4 for it.
Yeah, it's
eBay.
Not very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably should look into getting one of those then. Okay, guys, I guess we'll wrap this thing up. We're in here about 90 minutes or so. Still got about 60 people watching. Appreciate all you guys hanging around and tuning in to watch us here. And
if all 60 of you would give us a thumbs up, that would be just cool as hell.
Yeah, it would.
Watching and only 21 likes. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Give us some love.
Show the love. Yeah, there you go. I hope that you know, what little bit of you know, showing the UCCNC software. I hope I didn't. If anybody was thinking about getting it, I hope I didn't turn them off against it, because, like I said, it's still good stuff. And you know, the thing of it is, if you've already got Mach 3 and you're used to running that, then you know you could get one of these. If your old computer with a parallel port craps out, and you need to get something that doesn't have one, get one of these or something similar. There's other companies that make stuff like this too, but you know, that'd be a way to go. I think. You know, I like Mach 3. I've been using it for about 10 years, so I'll probably continue to use it. Although I spent $60, I may have to use that stuff for something, I guess. But anyway. All right, guys, appreciate y'all hanging around. Like Mark said, like and subscribe on your way out. And I guess we'll talk to y'all next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'll probably have the Xylotex box opened up so we can show that. We'll talk about that. Anything else, you know, if you leave comments in the chat or in under the video if you got a topic you want us to try to cover. You know, we'll pretty much talk about anything.
CNC related.
Yeah, CNC related. Hobby CNC related. Yeah, we don't want to talk about Grey's Anatomy or something, but okay, guys. Okay, guys. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching. You guys, thanks for being on the panel. And we'll see
Thumbs
y'all
up.
next Saturday.
Just
Have a
getting
good night,
started.
Chad.
Peace.